SKST Radio.
Well, welcome to another episode of SKST Radio, Authors Network, right here in SKST Studios. I have a brand new friend today. Her name is H.L. Brooks. She's an author and she is a go-getter. Hey, Miss Brooks, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me today.
Oh, no. Well, thank you for being on the show and thank you for helping us get the word out. I mean, you have been the best. I enjoyed it. I feel like I know you already since we've been talking so much on social media.
Yeah, it's that's the nice thing about social media. It has its down things, but it has its up things as well.
Oh my gosh. So you are an author. How long have you been an author?
I published my first book in 2015. I wrote my first manuscript in 2002. So there's a gap there because I'm an indie published author, self-published. And at the time, it was much harder to self-publish at 2002. And then when I revisited the idea of writing again in 2015, self-publishing was so much more accessible by then.
Oh, wow. Wow. So what inspired you to become an authoress?
Well, I'm an artist first and foremost. So like I previously was and I guess I still am, although I don't do it as much, painter and multimedia, mixed media art and visual journaling, things like that. And then I picked up photography. These things actually helped me a lot in my work because I do my covers and I, things like that, because I could just use my art skills for that or whatever. But at some point I've been writing a blog for years, like when blogs were first a thing. And then I just had some people say, oh, you tell such good stories. You should maybe, tell stories or write books or something. And I thought about it for a while and I never really got encouraged in that vein before, but I love to tell stories and I love fairy tales. So that was the first manuscript I wrote in 2002 was actually a murder mystery, like a serial murder kind of a thing. Okay. But later when I revisited the idea of telling stories, I was like, I think I'm going to do fairy tale. And I was looking for a way to actually make some side artsy type money. And so I was going to do erotic shorts because at that time in 2015, erotic shorts were really a big deal. They were fairly new in terms of online publishing and people were making a lot of money, but I started to write I said, oh, I'll do fairy tales. I'll do erotic short fairy tales under 10,000 words. I can do that. And as the more I wrote the story, the more I kind of got into the characters. And now with erotica, it's all about the naughty stuff. You mean you just don't have a story. There's no real, like if you take out the naughty bits, there's no story there. Right. So with romance or fantasy, there's like, if you have naughty bits in there, then that is just like you could take those out and you'd still have a story. So I just found that I needed to know more about the characters. I wanted to tell more of the story. I wanted to add more women into it and, sort of like matriarchal characters. And so then it just became this big Red Riding Hood inspired werewolf shifter, age gap romance sort of a situation. So that is how that started, is me just wanting at first to be like, I need this other artistic outlet. I'm going to try writing. Cause I did, my very first thing I ever had published was like 1998 or something. It was like a erotic short story in Playgirl magazine. And they gave me that was $100 I got for that story. And that was like this long. Oh, so wow. When I reflected back on that, when I was trying to think of ways to sort of like pad my art income a little bit, I was like, well, maybe I could try that again. And then that was what it led to. And I ended up doing, the Red Riding Hood story. So now I have 3 books in that series. I'm re-releasing the first one, Red August. This is the new cover.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. And It has a new cover. It now has content warnings. Content warnings weren't as much a thing in 2015, and I think they're valid. You know, like I know not everybody agrees with that, but in my opinion, it's a valid thing. So I'm adding them to each book, and they'll be in my books from now on because I've learned better. I know better, so I'm going to do better.
Exactly.
And so this is being re-released the week of Thanksgiving, and it has a fresh edit, a fresh cover, and I'm thinking of maybe doing some like holiday boxes with all kinds of goodies in it, or Valentine's, at least if I can't get it together, because you really kind of have to do that thing well ahead. But I get excited about stuff, and that sounds like fun to me to do, like when they come in paperback, because they'll be first released in ebook, and then they'll be released in probably short quantities of hardback through me directly, and then published wide in print everywhere else.
Well, for that little package, you get your little gift basket. So when you're doing the pop-ups, you got a bottle of wine, 2 champagne glasses, or, little flutes, and baby, make that book happen.
Yeah. the romance element.
Yes. Absolutely love it. So you being a writer, and I'll call you an authoress. You being an authoress, you have a knack for helping other authors, and that's what I like about you. I saw the things with the tiara, and I thought that was so cool. I used to have a group called the Princess Society, and the girls would wear tiaras because I felt like every girl should have a tiara. Every girl is a princess. And when you had that crown on, I thought, oh my God, that reminded me of the Princess Society. So that is so cool. Tell me a little bit about
sweet.
that.
I love that. I have like, I don't know if you could see. Well, I can't pointing around. Right here is like a little a tower of crowns right here. I got that from TikTok. A lot of the women authors on TikTok get themselves a crown, and so that is like a plus. Well, before that, let me back up a second, because my first crown I got for my wedding in 2018, and I ended up not wearing it. But then when I joined TikTok in, I think, mid 2020, I noticed that everybody was wearing a crown. I was like, oh, I already have a crown. I can join on this trend. Yeah. So that made it extra. And then since then, I bought 3 more crowns.
But you inspired me. I'm going to buy me a crown because I feel like I need to have a tiara too, just like everybody else.
And I do love to cheerlead women authors in particular. I think women authors face things that male authors don't. I'm not saying that their books aren't valid or they aren't valid as people. It's just that's my special interest, is supporting women authors, because I feel like they have special challenges they face that male authors do not. So, and that is sort of my niche. And I have a book festival the Right Women Book Festival, WRITE Women Book Festival is, we just had our 4th year. It was great. It's like almost tripled in size. Next year, we're hoping to do two days, like a fan focused day, like a book lover, fan focused, reader focused day. And then the next day be like a author focused day with workshops and keynote speaker and brunch and stuff like that. We'll see. I'm trying to pull it together. I usually, if I have an idea, if I can't make it happen that next year, I'll make it happen the year after. So that's coming in the future.
That's cool, because we did our first authors network with SKST in March, this past March. And it was good. It was good. It wasn't as many people as we wanted to have, but by being the first time, and I'm not from here. We're in Virginia right now, but I'm from Texas. So to even just get a whole new group of people in Virginia to participate, it was a little challenging. But so what do you find?
I'd be happy to put yours in our newsletter.
Thank you.
Send me that information, because I'm all about supporting the small. The first year we had like 38 authors, and this year we had about 125.
Wow.
So it really cool. Yeah, it's exciting, but it's also, people invest their time and energy and money to do these things. So I'm cognizant of that, and it's kind of stressful, because you're like, okay, this person's flying in from somewhere else to be at my event. I really better bring it. I don't want to disappoint anybody. But yeah, that is how I think. I might have found you initially through Hampton Roads Writers Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm in Prince George's County, Maryland, but I've lived in Hampton Roads for 20 years. I lived in Virginia Beach, and a lot of my family's still down there. So I'm like, I want to find some stuff, bookish stuff down there that I can do and be part of that bookish community, so I can go down and visit and be involved in the bookish community down there, which I was very excited to see that there was a Hampton Roads writers page, and then there was this Hampton Roads author event that you had, and then now this podcast. I was like, wait, they really got it going on. So that's exciting to me.
A little secret on that. Hampton Roads started off, I guess they were before I moved here. I moved here in 2019, and I'm over in a mall. And so I met with the owner, which is Florenza. I'm sure you know her name. Florenza she was the owner of the Hampton Roads Book Festival. And so she had the event at the mall. And it was my very first event. And, of course, me being an author, it's like I'm all for it. So she asked, we collaborated. And so we had the event in 2019, February 2020 at the mall. And
Amazing.
So it was wonderful. I mean, it was so many people. And I mean, oh, my gosh. And it was before the shutdown of COVID.
Yeah.
And then after that, yeah. And so then after that, Florenza moved away. And with that book festival, we got in Reach. And now the Reach lady is now over the Hampton Roads Book Festival. So she donated, Florenza, she offered it to me at first. And I'm like, no, I can't run a mall. And, my stuff I do is just, my hobby part-time. Right. So there's no way I can run a whole event like that, because it was huge by myself. And so anyway, she offered it to Dr. Goff, who's over Reach. And so Dr. Goff picked up the pieces and she ran with it. And she was the one who actually hosted that event. Her event ours was in March. And I think she had hers was at May. I think her event was just this past May or something like that. So anyway, it was really cool. It was really cool to see all the people and the authors to come up and show up. And man, it was nice. It was nice. So to see it grow.
I'm sorry, beg your pardon.
No, I just said to see
that focus is indie authors, right? Or
yes.
Okay, yeah.
Indie authors, yes.
That's lovely.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And ours is based off of podcasting. So it's a little different from the actual authors, what she does. Ours is actually focusing on the author like this, like the way we're talking right now, to kind of help market the author and help get their information out there. And so it worked hand in hand. It was perfect for it to work this way. But now we got to find a new location because our mall is going to be tore down by 2023. So.
Well, we started out in we're currently still at a historic property that belongs to the county, because that was very cost effective. So perhaps you can find a community like a county or city-based property. Maybe they would help you host it. That would be, either way, I'm interested. I want to, if I can't be part of it, I want to come see it. So
okay, well, hey, we would love to have you. We absolutely love to have you. So more about you. So you're giving back, you're helping other women. I mean, you're doing your thing, you're making it happen. So what motivates you? What drives you to make this all happen?
I think that I'm kind of a lemons to lemonade person. So I am by default kind of a positive person, which I know can come across as toxic sometimes. It's like, you should be happy, but only to myself. I don't try to tell other people they should be happy when they're miserable or sad or whatever, but I do try to make opportunities to uplift or to cheerlead. I'm a cheerleader sort. So I started a salon group for women where we would have little writing salons at my house, as in the old-fashioned term for salon, where just a group of people meet and talk about, a specific writing or art subject. So I started doing that, and that was what the Book Fest was born out of. But that was out of a desire just to meet other women writers and to say, hey, I had these problems when I was first publishing. I have some knowledge. Would you like it? And then, do you have some knowledge that maybe you could share with me? And it's sort of like so the Right Women Network it first started as Women Authors of Maryland, but then people who were outside of Maryland started to worry they couldn't join the Facebook group because it said Women Authors of Maryland. So I changed it to the Right Women Network. So after the pandemic started, so because at first it was in person, it was just these little meetings in person, either at my house or at a cafe, and we'd talk about writing, whatever. But then when the pandemic hit, I switched to virtual salons, and so then it got bigger, and so then so my whole thing is inclusivity, wanting people to feel loved and accepted. One of the things about my book festival is making authors feel like, especially newer authors and indie authors, feel like their voice matters. Like I've been to events as an indie author where I'm kind of off to the side, like my name isn't on anything or whatever.
Right.
And for me, it's important for them to feel like a star, because we're all the main characters of our own world. And we definitely deserve, if you put in that hard work, even if other people don't see as much value in it as, as I think they should, if you've published a book, that is a huge, major accomplishment.
It is. It really is.
And you deserve credit for it. You deserve some pats on the back and a space to, like you said, like very much like what you're doing and helping get the word out there about these indie authors. I'm like, yeah, we have valid voices. And, as indie authors, you're the bottom of the rung in terms of the publishing world. We're not the bottom of the rung in terms of talent, business acumen, or any of that, because it takes, if you write if you write a book and you try to get traditionally published, the worst thing that's going to happen to you is a bunch of rejection letters. It's going to take a long time. You may also not have if you're not a well-known author, you might, or one that they have a lot of potential and put a lot of marketing money in, you may be doing a lot of your own marketing. But as an indie author, you've got to do everything. And so I feel like indie authors, they have a wide, broad spectrum of talents and skills. And to pull that off to me is amazing. And I think it doesn't deserve to be viewed as the bottom of, and I think me and you and other people who are saying, hey, to look over here, are helping with that message, and it's valid. Their voices are valid. Their books are valid. There's somebody out there for every book.
Exactly. I love the fact that now I feel like now more so than any other time in our lives that women are really pulling together, and I love that. I love the fact that they are not looking at each other as a threat as much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It takes a special woman to, I feel it takes a special woman to want to give back and help and be really honest about it and really feel it. You can feel it in your heart if they're really sincere. And I think this whole thing that you're working on and what you're doing, I think it makes a difference. I really do. It made me feel special, that you would reach out and that you did, agreed to be on the show and put my information on your page. And, that made me feel really special. And I really want to thank you for doing that.
And I feel the same way. It's like, it's this mutual admiration society. And I think, and what's wrong with that? Like this is good. This is a good thing because we're amplifying each other's voices. And that's so important, especially for indie authors and smaller creators. And someday, knock on wood, we'll be much bigger. And then we'll have the opportunity to provide scholarships and, do things that help people, that can't otherwise, have a voice or whatever their trials and tribulations are. So yes, it's a feel good. It's a hug to all indie authors. For me in specific, it's a hug to women, femme identifying, non-binary, whatever you consider yourself, authors. I love men too. I'm married to one, but
you married to one.
He's so supportive. There would not be a book fest if there was not for my husband, because he's the chief volunteer, my partner with the book festival. By the way, my wonderful supportive book fest partner, Carden Brooks, who is also a writer and a woman of color, and she writes erotic fiction, and she's the most pragmatic, calming energy that I have in my life. Whenever I'm like, is this going to work? Or, like I try to do too many things. She's like, let's pull it back a second and take a look at, another look at this. And, I think we complement each other very
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
She
That's
keeps
cool.
me grounded. And then I have all these like, well, I think I have all these big ideas. And she's like, let's reel it back a little bit. So we make a good partnership, and I adore her, and it would be really remiss if I did not mention her.
Oh, wow. Well, I can't wait to meet her. I bet she's very cool.
She
Yeah.
is. She's very cool.
So what's next for you?
So after I get this book out there Thanksgiving week, I will be redoing the covers, adding content warnings, and a little bit of edit of the next two in the series, which is, so it's Red August, Red August, Red Archer, and Red Hunter. Are the three. So then I'll be writing book 4, and that'll be released sometime late next year. And then I'm also working on this little cozy witch mystery that I wanted to write something that my family could read, and I wanted to write something that was mystery based, because I love writing. I love mysteries. I love watching mysteries, like Murder, She Wrote, like cozy, small
I thought
town.
about that when you said mysteries.
Yeah, so like that. But but this has a witch protagonist, and she's like ambiguously middle-aged. We don't know how old she is. She's curvy, she's mysterious, and she has this little sidekick from the town, and she just, moves into the town, and people are very bedazzled by her, and they saw her and the daughter of the town mortician solve crimes together. Sort of paranormal mystery. The first one is this sort of dead bride sort of a story. So that will come out hopefully in March.
Okay.
And then that'll be a series as well. That's called the Hawthorne Hollow series, and that is the House on Blue Raven Lane is what that book will be titled. Nice. And someday I'd like to do my a memoir about my dad. And I don't want to bring the mood down, so I don't want to talk about why that is, but hopefully a memoir when I'm ready to do that as well.
Nice. So what type of words of wisdom can you give to an inspiring writer such as yourself trying to get to where you are right now?
I would say, don't let imposter syndrome sideline you. I'm going to do my very first, this is the other thing, I'm going to start doing book writing retreats next year for women over 40 who are writing their first book or want to write their first book. Okay. Because I think, and you don't have to be over 40 to have this be an issue. It's just that I'm over 40 now. But what I would say to aspiring authors is, don't let imposter syndrome or this voice in you that says, I never went to school to write. I didn't get a degree so I could write a book. Everything's been written already. I mean, how can I write anything fresh? How can I have a new idea? I'm not good enough to write a book. It's going to be terrible. Look, every book out there that you've read that's a good book is written, but is also edited. So just write your book, get it out, and then find yourself a good editor if you're that worried about it. Yeah. But just write. Don't listen to that negativity, because it'll be 5 years, it'll be 10 years, and you still will not have written that book.
Wow. It's so important. It's so important. And we focus on the adult women, but we also need to start reaching out to the young girls. I interviewed a little girl from Kansas City who's 11 years old, and she did a phenomenal essay and got big kudos from school. And so I interviewed her on the show, and she loves writing. Aww. And her family was there for her and was very excited that she did such a great job on her essay. And now she wants to become a writer. And so I think just introducing these type of avenues for the youngsters will help let them decide which direction they want to go into too. Because sometimes you start late and you feel like you can't do it because you're starting too late. So getting with the over 40s, that's letting them know, hey, it's not too late. You got that opportunity. But if you start young, we can get more books cranked out.
Yeah, that's for sure. Actually, our first year that we did the book fest, we had 2 children authors there.
Wow.
That were in the children's tent. They had one of them made slime, and she made a book about making slime. Or actually, I think I think that was a they. They made a book about doing slime. I'm trying to remember the pronoun. And then another child, she wrote a book about, I think it was about parties. But anyway, she published books at very supportive, involved mothers in those situations. So,
Well, that's so cool.
yeah, it was very cool. I was like, this is so cool. There are children authors that are doing this. So, and that's the kind of thing. It's like you could, if you get big enough, you can like throw some money at having scholarships for, or contests, essay contests or whatever. And those things are,
Exactly.
yeah, they're inspiring and they're helpful and they're like, I wish that I'd had that level of support when I was younger. I probably would have written my first book before I was 40.
Exactly. Exactly.
So you're right. And so is
we
this
be telling Stephen King to move over a little bit,
Yeah. Is the princesses thing that you were doing? Tell me more about that.
The Princess Society, actually, I used to work for a company called E-Women Network. And one of the ladies, she actually formed the society and she opened up chapters. And so what I did, I worked with inner city children. And so I made it part of my program. So my program was called femtouring. Instead of mentoring, it's femtouring. So I'm all about like Sheroes, and I'm all about like Arthurus. When you hear me say that, it's all about the woman, inspiring and empowering the women. And so with the Princess Society, we had like a group session where, straight talk. You put your tiara on, you can't lie in this circle. You're the princess at this point, it's all about us. So we would have like cute little fuzzy phones. I just made it so much fun. And my girlfriend, actually my best friend, she was a part of it. And her little girl was in the program as well. And they would pass the toy fuzzy phone around and they'll say what's going on in their life, what's going on. If something's going on, like they're being touched or anything like that, we would talk about it in the circle. And my because we get permission, the permission form. But if anything's bad, we would have to report it, of course.
Right.
And so, but we wanted to give the kids the opportunity to be able to express themselves, to talk about what's going on in their life, any bullies at school, what's hindering them in their classes. It was just straight talk carpet. And it was just like you were in your bedroom on a beautiful carpet. It was all colorful and had all these different rainbow colors. And actually, give you an idea, it was just so much fun like this.
Yeah.
And I'm still doing that kind of stuff. But but it was great. You had the tiara on. Every girl had a tiara. And it was part of the packet. So when they signed up, they received a tiara. They received a pillow. They received their own like cute little glass with their name on it. Everything was colorful and fun. And so that's what we did for the Princess Society. And that's when I was in Dallas. And then, of course, I have a son. And my daughter was older. She's grown. And I had a son at the time. So then the gym, because we did it at the recreation center. And the guy was like, well, what are you going to do for boys? So we ended up having a mentoring program. And we ended up having a mentoring program. And my son was in that. But I would get the basketball players from FedEx to host an event. Each week host a class. And so I think maybe 5 signed up to do the classes, and they would help volunteer with the boys, because I'm not good with boys. I'm girly, And so they would help with the boys. So we had the Princess Society and the mentoring group, and the boys wore those little hats that the men would wear. They would take the boys, to the barbershop to get free haircuts and, all kinds of cool things like that. So that's what I did when I was in Dallas. I worked with children and, I tried to make it happen for them.
It sounds like you made a really safe space for the girls to tell their stories.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so it was fun. It was fun. And so, you got to keep doing things like that to inspire other people. You really do.
I love it. I'm glad that you did that. Who knows how many lives you changed and how many later their children's lives. I mean, that kind of thing echoes, it ripples outward.
Exactly.
I think that is a really important aspect of what I believe too, is that at the kernel, at the center of all of us, we just want to feel that we matter.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's what you did, is you made those girls feel like they mattered.
Yeah, and they did. They really did. The families were great, and we just had a great time. We just had a great time.
I
Well,
love
I'm
it.
looking forward to learning more about you and hanging out with you a little bit more. Maybe bringing some of those ideas you have to life and bringing it to camera and seeing what we can do to collaborate and make things happen.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you so much for having me today.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And please come back. We want you back. We want to keep up with you and your books and all the things that you got going on.
Okay, great. Well, then maybe I'll be back in March when I have my next release.
Yeah, please do. Come on back, girl. We
Okay.
need you. We absolutely need you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
guys, until next week. H.L. Brooks was in the house this week. Woo! Thank you.
Thank
Go buy
you.
her book. When her books comes out, it's going to be on Amazon. It's going to be everywhere you can buy books. She
Yep.
said it's going to come out first on audio, and then you can order the books from her. But find me on
Ebook.
my page, and we can get it to her. All right?
Yep.
Sounds
Yep.
good?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Until next week, guys, SKST Radio, Arthur's Network. Bye-bye. Okay, my